Big shout out to today's video sponsor, Linsoul. Check out their fantastic deals in the links in the video description. Wow, that's how I sum up the Kiwi Ears Quintet. This is my favourite IEM. Better than my beloved Dunu SA6 Ultras, better than my The Audio Oracle Mark IIs. This is a seriously impressive set that costs just $220, a third of the price of those two IEMs I just mentioned, and I cannot believe it. Hey guys, I'm Ryan Thomas. Big thanks to Linsoul for sending out this set. The links to their stuff will be in the video description as always, and thanks to them for sponsoring today's video. They are not paying me to say good things about this set in particular. This is an independent review, but the store sponsors the channel, so check out the links if you want to support me. Where do I start with the Quintet? Well, in their name, it's a 5 driver per side setup. You get 1 dynamic, 2 balanced armatures, 1 planar. We'll get back onto the particular kind of planar in a second, and a piezoelectric. You get a nice braided cable that feels solid but malleable and terminates in a single-ended 3.5mm plug. I think maybe chuck in another $20 on the price and make it a detachable and changeable tip so you can put 4.4 or 2.5 balanced on, but Kiwi Ears didn't go for that route. They decided to go single-ended. It's not the end of the world, especially not at this price point. It is a 2-pin cable, so you could swap it out, but I actually quite liked the cable, and I feel like it's not worth the trade-off to go out and buy another cable. This one's good enough. I would just live with it being single-ended. It's a plastic housing that has what feels like a metal faceplate, although it could be something different. The IEMs feel substantially heavier than the Quartet and the cadenza that came before it, however those were primarily, actually entirely resin-based. That said, the Quintet does not feel heavy by any stretch, much lighter than the ICO OH10, which is an all-metal build. They're rather large, and so I ended up with slight soreness in my ears after the first 4-ish hours of non-stop usage, but your mileage may entirely vary, and I actually quite like the fit. The included hard fabric case is a brilliant size as it fits the IEMs comfortably, but also is easy to carry around in sort of jean pockets or what have you. You get 6 pairs of tips, including the black and translucent silicone, with slightly different nozzle sizes on the actual tips. The overall product presentation, as is normal with Kiwi, really good, makes you feel like you are holding and using a premium product. I wouldn't say it's the best. I think that the Tangzu Wu Heyday did a much better job of creating a higher end experience. However, I feel like the differences are mainly between those two in the sound quality, not necessarily in the product presentation. Kiwi is keen to talk about its new planar technology, or I'm going to read it off of my notes, the microplanar transducer, which gives you a really small planar which is used for sort of the higher frequencies to give you crispness. Now, a lot of planar IEMs are big planars. They are big drivers that are used solely to create all of the sound. Think the 7Hz Timeless, the KZ-PR1 Pro, the Tangzus that I mentioned earlier, they're all big planars. This is weirdly a small planar, which gives you a different sound. It's meant to replace sort of an electrostatic, and what it gives you is really crisp treble. I actually found that the Oracle Mark IIs, which I described as almost being like sound with crunchy peanut butter as opposed to smooth peanut butter in that it gives you texture, I listened to those back to back with the Quintet. The Quintet sounded far more detailed and far more crunchy. This is just another level in terms of detail and almost feedback. Now, tuning an IEM that has 4 different drivers in it is going to be difficult. I mean, we've heard tribrid, so 3 different driver combination IEMs that have not quite matched, what they should be, and they haven't quite passed the test. But a 4 setup, now that is quite unique. And Kiwi Ears has absolutely nailed it. The way that these things transition is so smooth, it just sounds like a single speaker, but it gives you all that depth, that detail, that clarity that you might not get from a single speaker. It might not be that I have the greatest ears in the world for these things, but I absolutely, under critical listening, could not tell the transitions between the dynamic, the BAs, the planar, and of course the piezoelectric. This is what could be described as a brighter set. That means that there's a sort of leaning towards the higher upper mids and treble frequencies, which gives you sort of quite a lot of clarity and quite a lot of resolution. What it also means though is that people sensitive to sibilance might not want to go with these. And actually I recommend Kiwi's own Quartet, which is a much more laid back set that you can tune to give you none of that extra resolution, none of that extra sibilance, just give you a nice laid back chill IEM. The Quintet's definitely not that, it's a lean in IEM, you want to listen to it almost with intensity. There's a good amount of soundstage here with the Quintet as well. They felt quite wide, although I would say not quite as wide as the Echo OH10, but actually more so than the Oracle Mark II. They also have quite a lot of bass, but not quite as much bass as something like the Echo OH10. And I would say that whilst their mids of the Quintet are very clear, they're very precise, you can very easily hear male vocals coming through and instruments in that section. I would say that the SA6 Ultras do a better job of this, mainly because those things are entirely mid-range. Imaging is pretty good. I use these things to play CSGO and also to do a bit of sim racing. And I found that you could pick out details and where stuff was coming from quite easily. They're not the best set I've heard in the world for this kind of thing, but they do it good enough that you don't feel like you're missing out. Now, you've heard me all say these are my new favourite IEMs, and they absolutely are, even after listening back to back with my previously favourite sets. But it's worth mentioning, the SA6 Ultras are smoother, the Echo OH10s have more soundstage and are deeper, the PR1 Pros have a sparkle to them that I've just not quite found yet, and these come close, but they don't emphasise the sparkle quite as much. It's mainly that the Quintet, does almost all of those things, which is insane. They're almost as good with the soundstage, almost as sharp, almost as bassy. You know, there's all of these great attributes that previously many IEMs individually could do, but the Quintet seems to almost do all of them, and that's insane. And then mention that the price is so low at $220, it's kind of hard to believe. These get my recommendation. If you're sensitive to sibilance, don't bother, go with the Quartet. But if you're not sensitive to sibilance and you can put up with a bit of a crunchy IEM, these are incredible. My links will be in the video description to where you can find those. Linsoul have them for sale right now. And yeah, good job Kiwi Ears. If I wasn't a fan of your stuff before, I definitely am now. Thank you all so much for watching. Please do like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Big shout out to my patrons for being continually supportive. And yeah, check out all the social medias in the description. I'm Ryan Thomas, and I'll catch you later. Cheers.